Great morning, everyone. So today, let's proceed to the global structures of politics and government. So first, we have the history of global politics. The history of global politics, first we have a creating an international order. So in creating an international order, the world is composed of many countries or states, all of them having different forms of government. The second one, the focal concern in this topic is in the political structures involved in globalization. So in short, creating an international orders, it refers to the complex system relationship of interaction among countries between different forms of government. So next is political structures. Political structures, it refers to institutions or groups and their relation to each other. Their patterns of interaction within political system and political regulations, laws, and other norms present in political systems in a such way that they constitute the political landscape of political entity. Political structures also in the social domain, its counterpart is social structures. It also refers to the way in which a government is run. So, political structures, in short, are the frame that government shape to decision making. So, it includes na policy, making policy, power distribution, na representation, and accountability. So some scholars of politics are interested in individual states and examine the internal politics of these countries. So when we say internal politics, it's focused on politics within a single country or state. So like for example, a scholar studying politics of Japan may write about the history of bureaucracy. So within one state or within one country, it is all about internal politics. The second one, under political structures, some scholars are more interested in the interaction between states rather than their internal politics. So, ang ISAIA, internal politics area, instead of internal politics, they use international relation. Like for example, they may look at trade deals, study political, military, and other diplomatic engagement between two or more countries. This is what we call international relations. So, the third one, international relation or IR. It explains behavior that occurs across the boundaries of states, the broader relationship of which such behavior is part, and the institution. We have private, states, non-governmental, and intergovernmental that oversee those interactions. So, it also explained that interaction of state in the global interstate system, and it also attempts to explain the interaction of others whose behavior originates within one country and is in target toward members of other countries. So in international relations, so when we say international relation, it focuses on the relationship or interaction within two or more countries or states. So it encompasses with diplomacy, trade, security, and global governance and cultural exchange. Di rin nagatabo ang mga diplomacy like negotiation or practice conducting relation between countries, and trade naman buy and sells or services with each other, security service, and global governance. So, studying international relations, we can better understand and complex reaction that shape our world for better life. So, in our studies, how countries interact, cooperate, and conflict with each other, shaping global politics, economies, and society. So, we discuss the three history. We have the creating international orders. The second one is political structures. The third one is international relations.
So now let's proceed to the internationalization. So internationalization is the deepening of interaction between states. So which which means this country are getting closer and working more deeply with each other. So this interaction can be about of trading goods, making agreements, sharing ideas that leading to more frequent communication and collaboration. So when we say it does not equal to globalization but a major part of globalization, this means is what you are talking about. It is only a one piece of this big process called a globalization. So globalization has many parts such as trade, culture sharing, technology, and movement of the people. States, government are the key drivers of global processes because they have the power and responsibility to take decisions that affect the country and the world. So they create law, agreements, and rules that help countries working together on issues like trade, security, and the environment. Internationalization is a window to view the globalization of politics. So internationalization is a way to understand the globalization in politics by looking at how countries or government increasingly working together and connect internally. This means a country maka-interact sila more trade, treaties, more communication, more organization. So next slide. So today have a global system. So there are four key attributes of world politics. So first, there are countries or states that are independent and govern themselves. So may ara ono country, may ara sila own role and leader like government nga maka-decide on how things work there. And then we have independent countries nga maka-make their own decision nga without asking permission sa ibang nga countries. So for example, arang each country has their own law kung paano padalagan eskwelahan, kung paano ma-maintain ang safety first sa mga tao, kung paano maprotektahan ang country against the enemy. So, these countries interact with each other through diplomacy. So, kumbaga may ara disiplina in terms of business naman niya, arang instead pag-away nila istoryahan nila maayo para ma-avoid ang conflict problems like war, magka-trouble sila. So, in order to prevent that, kailangan nila mag-talk arang better conversation para ma-resolve ang problem. There are international organizations like United Nations that facilitate this interaction. So this organization can help the country working together smoothly by providing a place kung di sila gusto magkitaay, magstoryanay, para makamake decisions sila together. So this organization can make it easier for country to solve problems, keep peace, and cooperate on things that can affect to everyone such as health, safety, in the environment. This international organization take on the lives of their own because they become more independent and operate with their own authority, roles, and expertise beyond just being tools of their member states. They develop their own decisions and create policies based on their special knowledge and goals. In simpler terms, these organizations stop being just groups of countries working together. They become powerful actors themselves with their own control and influence in the world of politics. So next slide. What are the origin of these systems? So first, a good start is by unpacking the meaning of a country or what academics call the nation state. A country or what academics call the nation state is a land with a clear borders, ruled by a single government. So inside this country, most people feel they are connected by sharing culture, history, language. So this connection is what we call a nation. The government that rules the land, take care of law and the order is what we call the state. The nation state is composed of two non-interchangeable terms. So the nation state is made up of two, but they are not the same and cannot swap with each other. The nation is a group of people who feel connected because they share things like culture, history, language, and common identity. It is about of people who feel connected and makabatsag sila nga belong sila nga country. While the state is about of countries itself, which involve land, government, and the power to take law and decisions. It is a political and legal organization that controls a certain territory and governs the people living there. 3. Not all states are nations and not all nations are states, because some states are contain many different groups, and not all nations are states because some not all states are nations because some states are not all states are nation not all states are nations because some states are contain many different groups of people, and not all nations are states because some groups of people are with strong shared identity and do not have their own government or count. That's all. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. Today, I will discuss what is state. But before that, I have a question first. For you, everyone, what is a state? So to answers to all your response, I will discuss now what is state. So state is the concept of the state, refers to the organization that has a number of political functions and tasks. So it talks about politics. So it includes providing security. When we say providing security, for example, police and military protects the people. Next is extracting revenues. When we say extracting revenues is the one that collects the tax. So sila ang ga-collect sang tax, which is ilang ginakolektahan sang tax is mga the one that who have a job and businesses. So for example, na di ba subong nag-viral na news na ang budget sa flood control, which is came from the taxes of the people, is being corrupted by some contractors and politicians. No, how cruel, right? The 20% of the billion peso that gikan sa flood control na budget is being corrupted. So luoy kayo ang mga people na naghahago dira na sa diha nga kwarta. So it's so sad to hear that. But as for now, we are seeking for the justice of those people. Next is informing rules for resolving disputes and allocating resources with the boundaries of the territory in which it exercises jurisdiction. So it means that it enforces rules through the government. So next is, a state is composed of people who live in a certain territory where they are sovereign and with their own government. So based on the sentence that I've read, it has its elements. The state has its elements. So next, so the essential elements of a state is the territory, people, government, and sovereignty. So with this four, you will become a state. So biskan ang isa sa ilaha mawala, so wala na, dili na siya mag-flow to become a state. So every one in the four elements is very essential to the state. So I have a question first. So it's having this four elements will make you a legit state, and why? If no, why? If yes, why? Okay. To answer to all your questions is no. You will not be a legit state if you have these 4. No? Even you have already thus 4 elements to become a state, if you are not recognized by the other state na state ka, is you will never be a state. So, to become a legit state, dapat makipaghalubilo ka sa iba na state na ipabalo nimo sa ilahan na state ka so that they will recognize you as a state. Kaya kung maghimo ka na state ka lang, mag-state ka sa imong own country, ang imo lang country ang makabalo na state ka, dili ka mahimog legit state because the other state don't know that you're a state. So, to be recognized as a legit state, you should dapat makipag-recognize ka sa iban or makipaghalubilo ka sa uban na state para makilala ka or makilala ang imong country na state ka. So, gets? So, let's proceed on the 4 elements of a state. So, let's discuss this individually. So, first, we're discussing the territory. So, it is the extent of the land belonging to the state. So, the land that belongs to the state. It includes physical land. When we say physical land, is the land that we step on. No? Atong land na atong ginapuy ang subong. And fluvial. When we say fluvial, it includes rivers, lakes, mountains, islands. Then, ang islands, diba sa Philippines, damo kaayo, consists of 7,641 islands. Also, volcanoes. Out of 400 volcanoes, 24 only ang active. And also aerial domains, which is the above the land, and maritime domain, 3 miles and 12 nautical miles from the coast. So, when we say maritime domain is pagmamayari na karagatan sa Philippines. So, in maritime domains is pwede ta ka suroy-suroy within 200 nautical miles. So, within that 200 nautical miles, from coast to 200 nautical miles na dagat, is pwede ta kasuroy, pwede ta kapangisda within our country's area. So, kung malapaw ka diha, you are trespassing other borders. So, for example, no, ang West Philippine Sea na to kay ginaangkin sa China, dito gid sila mangingisda na dako man tani-tani lahang sea. So, luoy kay mangingisda na to dito kay luoy kay sila kay bombahan sila sa kuan na dapat sila ang mangisda dito na part because it's still part of the Philippine Sea. Next is the extent of the state's territory must be sufficient to maintain its population and enable it to meet the needs of the international life. So, dapat ang imong territory has maka-give siya sang ma-maintain niya ang population kag ma-meet ang needs of the people. For example, dapat ang imong territory na right amount of population so that maka-provide siya sa needs para dili mag-lack ang needs sa mga people. For example, ang pagtanom, ang mga sinina, ang mga resources na kinahanglan sa usa nimo ka people. Next is the Philippines has a total land area of about 115,707 square miles. So that is the total land area of the Philippines. So I have another question. So how can a state have a territory? So paano kuno ang state nagka-territory? So do you have any idea? So to answer my question, the state can have a territory in 5 ways. So first is discovery. Discovery is an old way because muna siyang sinaunang ginahimo sa atong mga people. Which is, for example, Magellan, di ba, na-discover niya ang Philippines. And to become that a state, you must rule that area that you've discovered so that you will govern it. So it will become a state and it will become yours. Kaya ikaw may nakadiscover na land na imong nakitaan. Second is prescription, which is pamamahala sa isa ka lupain na walay mo kontra. For example, the land that you've stepped on has many population but wala siya state. So, ginisip mo na, pamalaan ko ni, I will make this a state. And to become that a state, the land that you've been ginako, kag walay mo kontra, and it will become a legit state. Next is number 3, is conquest. When we say conquest is pagsakop sa isa ka lugar pinaagi sa pwersang militar. No? Muna siya, for example, ang mga World War, munang ginasakop ang isa ka lugar, ilang ginapabasukahan para maangkon nila ang isa ka lugar. Next is number 4 is the cession. When we say cession is state and a state. For example, ang isa ka state na country is gamay lang ang lugar. Then ang isa ka state is dako-dako ang lugar. So ang kaning dako na state is naghatag siya sang part niya na lugar sa other state. So ang other state can claim that part kay gihatag man. So muna siya naangkon niya na iya na to na lugar. Kay ginhatagan siya sa isa ka state na dako og lugar sa isa ka state. Lastly is the number 5. Is the accretion. When we say accretion, it is a geological process. When we say geological process, for example, diba ang Philippines has many volcanoes. For 24 out of 400 ang active and 400 tanan. Out of 400, 24 ang active. So what if diba daghag mag volcano? So, naay land volcanoes and naay sea volcanoes. So, what if the sea volcanoes in the Philippines underwater has been active? Nag-active siya subong kag naglupok sa ilalim sa dagat. Then, after that explosion, may nabuo na other land. So, that is called free land. So, pwede na maangkon sa Philippines na maiyaha ang land because it is a free land that gikan siya sa geological process. So, that is accretion. So, that is paano magka-territory ang isa ka state. So, now, let's proceed to people. So, when we say people, it talks also about population. It is a mass of population living within the state. So, though the population of some state is fairly small, what is essential for recognition as a state is that there are sufficient number of people to make it survive and enable it to fulfill its international obligations. So, people, no, are the residents or the one who live in the territory. So, ang population or ang people has 2 elements, which is, ang number 1 na elements sa ang isa ka people or population is having right amount of mass of people. So, dapat no, sa usa ka state, dapat na kay right mass amount of people para ang flow sa imuhang pag-govern or sa state is tuyok lang siya continually. So, parehas ana, ang president, na president, teacher, na ay farmer, na ay seller, na doctor, kay ang people ang produces goods and services and fulfill the obligations. Kaysa naman no, isa rang magapuyo na isa ra ka state, isa ra ka people. And then the next generation unsa siya ray mag-uma or mag-doctor diha no? No? Dapat na kay right amount of mass of people living within your territory para daghan silang obligation na ma-fulfill. Next, the second is self-perpetuating. When we say self-perpetuating is needs to continue your generation. For example, anak kasi mong mother and father right now. And if you are now in the right age and at the right time, you must have also to bear your offspring so that ang imuhang next generation na apay next generation na mag-fulfill sang ilang obligation to the future state. So, amo na siya ang self-perpetuating. So, as everyone understood about the people, now let's discuss the government. So, government is an agency which the will of the state is formulated, expressed, and carried out. So when we say government, no, it's a group of people and institutions that perform functions to implements the will of the state. Takag, it has 3 branches. When we say 3 branches, ano ganitong 3 branches? It has executive, legislative, and judiciary. When we say executive, it is the one to enforce law that contains ang president, ang cabinets, and other government officials. And next is the legislative, which talks about making laws. So, ang legislative has 2 chambers, which is the Senate and the House of Representative, which is sila ani ang make og laws na gina-implement sa executive. The third one is the judiciary. When we say judiciary, it is the one who interpret laws. So, diha na nagasulod ang Supreme Court. So with these 3 branches, it helps balance the economy, people, and the country. So, no, without that 3, magkaginamo siguro, no, there will be lots of illegal and wars within the country. So next, let's proceed to sovereignty. When we say sovereignty, it is the power of the state to command and enforce obedience. When we say command, it talks about the supreme power or authority of the state to govern itself. So, no, the state has the right to govern its own country. And next is to enforce obedience. So, ang enforce obedience is the people. So, as kita nga people nga mag-abide. Kita ang mag-abide obedience so that ang mga gina-implement na law is atong tumanon. Kay without guro obedience no na mag-implement sila, there will be war and misunderstanding happening. No? Kay kung kita mismo people sa isa ka territory or sa isa ka state na wala gatuman, there will be war and misunderstanding. So we must abide obedience. And there's a rule that ignorance of the law excuses no one. No? Even you don't know that law, kag nakalabag ka, you are not excused. So, dapat managot ka sa law na imong ginlabag. Next is external. When we say external, the freedom of the state to carry out its activities without subjection or control by the other state. So, it often referred to as independence. So, when we say about external is we are independent of control by other states so that we are not controlled by the other state because we have our own state. Kay state kita. Kita mismo nga state ang ga-control sa atong kagalingan so that we are called sovereignty. Kung lain na state ang mag-control sa tuang, we are not called sovereignty. So, that is nice that we are independent by the other country. So, now, to end up my report, I have a last question. Is the Philippines right now a state? And why? If you answer yes or no, just answer your questions or answers on the comment below. And the answer to your question is yes. The Philippines right now is a state because we are being governed by our own country without other state. And now, I have last question. How about during the colonization of Spain? Was it a state? Yes, it was not a state. Why? Because during those times that we are being colonized by Spain is we have lacked of sovereignty because dili ang kapwa Pinoy ang namuno sa Philippines kundi ang Spaniards mismo ang nag-colonize sa atua. So, ang kapwa Filipinos cannot control kapwa Filipinos because we are being controlled by the Spaniards. So, we have no sovereignty. So, no, ga-obey lang ta sa mga Spaniards and na wad ang taglak of opinions na mag-share sa ilaha kay we are controlled by the Spaniards. So that is why we are now happy and satisfied that we are now become a state because wala na ta governed by the other states. So we are independent. That's why we have an Independence Day. That's all.
Hi, my name is Jaira Martinez and my topic is all about nation. What is nation? Nation, it refers to a social group that is linked through common descent. When we say common descent, it refers to the origin or the background of a person, especially in terms of family and nationality, common culture, languages, or territory contiguity. When we say territory contiguity, it refers to the two or more areas or land that are physically connected without intervening any spaces or any barriers. So nation, it often limit themselves to people who imbibe particular culture, speak a common language, and live in a specific territory. So when we say nation, is a group of people that bound together by shared attributes and a sense of common identity, often seeking self-determination and political representation. So now let's proceed to nation-state. So what is nation-state? So nation-state are closely related because it is nationalism that facilitates state formation. Yes, because nationalism is an ideology that emphasizes loyalty, devotion, and allegiance to nation or nation-state. It is characterized by a strong sense of national identity, often seeking based on shared cultural, historical, linguistic, or ethnic traits. So in the modern and contemporary era, it has been the nationalist movement that have allowed for the creation of nation-states. In the modern era, nationalist movement have been instrumental in forming nation-state. This movement, fueled by a shared national identity and the desire for self-governance, have led to creating independent states. So, nationalism is the belief that a group of people, we are referring to a nation, should have their own country. We are referring now to a state. This belief inspires movement to create new countries or fight for independence. The feeling of nationalism helps to keep a country united and strong once formed. So, like example of a nation-state belong to nation-state is that the Japan. So, Japan, where the vast majority of the population shared a common ethnicity, culture, and language. The state boundaries largely align with the national identity, creating a strong sense of unity and cohesion. So, the second example is that the Portugal. So, Portugal is a nation-state where the state borders corresponds closely with the territory inhabited by the Portuguese nation, who shared a common language, culture, and history. So now let's proceed. So one of my group mates tackled about what is state. So now let's identify what is nation versus state. So a state is primarily a political concept, while a nation is a racial and nature. So yes, because state is primarily a political and legal concept, while the nation is primarily a socio-cultural and ethnic concept. Yes, no, mga katutubo, mga tribo-tribo. Then, state is based on territory, government, and sovereignty, while the nation is based on shared identity, culture, and history. So, like for example, the United States of America is a single state that is composed of many nations. So, in contrast, with one Arab nation distributed among different states. No, ang isa ko no ka like example ko no nga ang state ko no ga damo ko no sa sang nasyon, while ang nation naman may ako no nga different mga state. So that's all. Thank you.
Bright morning, everyone. I'm Precious Thermal Jane Navales, your next reporter. And this time we will going to talk about interstate system. So what is interstate system? It is the interconnection, or simply put, the relationship and the action between countries. We have the Westphalian system, or the Treaty of Westphalia. So it is a set of agreement signed in 1948 to end the 30 Years' War between major continental powers of Europe. So the Westphalian system introduced the idea of sovereignty, where each nation could rule itself without outside control. It also provided stability for the nations of Europe. It means they bring stability to Europe after years of war. We also have Napoleon Bonaparte. So Napoleon Bonaparte was a French military general and statesman. Napoleon played a key role in the French Revolution during 1789 to 1799. So the French Revolution, it is a war fought between revolutionary France and several European powers. This includes Austria, Prussia, Russia, Spain, and Great Britain. So the war lasted for 10 years, resulting in French victory and the rise of Napoleon Bonaparte. So he served as the first consul of France in 1799 to 1804. And also he was the first emperor of France in 1804 up until 1815. Napoleon also created a new form of government in France. It reshaped the boundaries of Europe and influenced revolutionaries and nationalists the world over. So Napoleon Bonaparte, he spreads the principles of French Revolution. These principles challenged the powers of the kings, the religion, and the nobility. So why? Why does it challenge the powers of the kings, the religion, and nobility? So let's discuss these principles. So we have the three principles, which are the liberty, equality, and fraternity. So first, let us discuss what is liberty. So liberty, he preserves certain freedoms. So this includes the freedom of choosing their religion, or they have the freedom to choose their religion through Concordat of 1801. So he gave the people their freedom to choose religion that they want. Also equality. He established the Napoleonic Code, which gave equal rights before the law, ended feudal privileges, and promoted meritocracy in government and the military. So inequality, everyone is equal under the law, whether you're a noble or you're a simple person lang. So he ended the feudal privileges, wherein, like example, ang mga noble person lang ang maka-receive ng VIP treatment. So he ended that privilege. And also he promoted meritocracy. So when we say meritocracy, it is the ability of the people that they can get the job that they wanted in the government or the army, based on the skills or the talents that they have, not just because they have a family background, or kumbaga pa sa aton nga term ang tinatawag nga backer. He also spread fraternity. So when we hear the word fraternity, ang maano sa utok, it's all about brotherhood, right? So fraternity, he encouraged national unity and patriotism in France. So when we say patriotism, it is how we love and feel proud of our country. So he encouraged national unity. But his constant wars against other nations went against the idea of brotherhood with all people, because he encouraged national unity gani, but he also leads some wars wherein it went against the idea of brotherhood. Let's discuss what is Napoleonic Code. So Napoleonic Code, it is a practice implemented in French in every country that forbade birth privileges, like what I've said earlier. Kung diin, even if you're noble or simple person ka lang, kay the law is equal, wala may ginaapinan. And also it encouraged freedom of religion, like katong kagina, they have the freedom to choose or on what they want or ano nga religion na nila gusto. And also, it promoted meritocracy. And again, meritocracy, it is the ability of the people to choose or they can get the job that they want in an army or the government with the skills and talents that they have without the help of their family background. Next, we have the Concert of Europe. So, when we say Concert of Europe, it doesn't mean na like concert like singing, dancing, or performing on stage. So the Concert of Europe, it is an alliance of great powers. So we have the UK, Austria, Russia, and Prussia. So it sought to restore the world of monarchical, hereditary, religious privileges before the French Revolution and the Napoleonic Wars. So when we say monarchical, it is, for example, a state is ruled by the kings and the queens. Also, when we say hereditary, it is, for example, inherit. For example, you are a prince, bata ka sang queen or king, and the responsibility is passed down to you because you are the son or you are the daughter of the queen or the king who ruled the state. Also, the religious privileges, for example, they have the main influence or main power over the law. So they sought to restore the world of the monarchical, hereditary, and religious privileges which happened before the French Revolution and the Napoleonic Wars. Clemens von Metternich was the system's main architect. He is one of the people who created the Concert of Europe, which lasted from 1815 up until the 1914. So next we have present international system. So the internationalism, it is a system of heightened interaction between various sovereign states, particularly the desire for greater cooperation and unity among states and people. So internationalism, its goals is for peace or solving global problems together. So the most powerful grouping in the UN or the United Nations, the Security Council, has a core of 5 permanent members. So these members are the China, France, US, UK, and Russia, or they are called the P5. And all those the 5 countries, they all have the veto power. So when we say veto power, they have the right to reject or block a decision even if even a lot has already agreed to it. So the Westphalian and Concert systems divided the world into separate sovereign entities. So it means that each have the authority over their own territory. And also, since the existence of this interstate system, there have been attempts to transcend it. So there has been a lot of attempts to go beyond this interstate system. Like, for example, by creating stronger international organization and alliances. Like, for example, the UN or the United Nations, it is to promote peace and cooperation.
So now, let's discuss the 2 principles of internationalism. First is liberal internationalism. So, liberal internationalism is a foreign policy, doctrine, and a school of thought in international relations that champions global cooperation, democracy, free trade, and human rights as the foundations for achieving world peace and prosperity. So, in liberal internationalism, Immanuel Kant is the first major thinker of this principle in the late 18th century. So, Kant's pioneering role in developing the concept of liberal internationalism, this establishes him as a key figure and situates his idea within the context of the 18th century Enlightenment. So, Kant linked states in a global system to people living in a given territory. So, just as individuals coexist in a shared territory, subject to laws and governance, states also exist in global area with shared interests and potential conflicts. So next, Immanuel Kant said if people living together require a government to prevent lawlessness, shouldn't that same principle be applied to states? So Kant suggests that if governance is necessary to maintain order and prevent chaos among individuals, it is equally necessary among states. Also, Kant said without a form of world government, the international system would be chaotic. So Kant believed that without some form of global governance, the international system would inevitably descend into chaos. This highlights the need for international laws, organizations, and cooperative frameworks to maintain peace and stability. Immanuel Kant said, therefore, states, like citizens of countries, must give some freedoms. So he argues that states similar to us individual citizens must be willing to cede some autonomy to a larger governing body to ensure collective security and well-being. Also, Immanuel Kant established a continuously growing state consisting of various nations, which will ultimately include the nations of the world. He envisions a gradual expansion of international governance starting with a first core group of nations and eventually encompassing all countries. This growing state represents the progressive development of international laws and institutions leading toward a more peaceful and cooperative world order. Also, in liberal internationalism, we have Jeremy Bentham. Jeremy Bentham coined the word international in 1780, advocated the creation of international law. So his coining of the term international provided a new way to conceptualize relations between states. This international law would govern the interstate relations. So he envisioned that international law would serve as a set of rules and principles to manage and regulate the interactions between states. Next, Jeremy Bentham believed that objective global legislators should aim to propose legislation that would create the greatest happiness of all nations taken together. So he believed that the goal of international legislation should be to maximize overall happiness and well-being across all nations. This emphasizes the importance of impartiality, rationality, and the collective good in shaping international norms and institutions.
Bright morning everyone, I am Precious PPU and today I'll be discussing about Giuseppe Mazzini. Giuseppe Mazzini, a 19th century Italian patriot, was the first to reconcile nationalism with liberal internationalism. So nationalism because he wanted to unite the small Italian states into one country, and liberal internationalism because he believed that free countries should work together to create a better world. He advocated for the unification of Italian mini-states and criticized the Metternich system. So when we say Metternich system, it is a system para mabalance ang power ka Europe after napurdi si Napoleon. Mazzini envisioned a republican government with free nations cooperating to form an international system. So Mazzini imagined a government where people had rights and freedom. He believed free, independent states were fundamental to a cooperative global order, making him a nationalist, internationalist who saw unified nation states as the foundation for global cooperation. So in short, Mazzini was a nationalist, internationalist because he believed that strong, unified nations were the building blocks for a cooperative and peaceful world. And now let's proceed to Woodrow Wilson. Woodrow Wilson was inspired by Giuseppe Mazzini and became a key figure in internationalism. So when we say internationalism, it is the idea that countries should work together to create a better world or for common goals. He viewed nationalism as essential for internationalism and championed self-determination, the right of nations to sovereign governments. So Woodrow Wilson thought that nationalism is important for internationalism because nationalism is the belief that each nation should have its own independent government. And Woodrow Wilson supported self-determination, meaning each nation should have the right to govern itself. And when we say sovereign, it means complete and independent power over yourself or territory. So Wilson believed democracies were crucial for building international relations rooted in law and cooperation. So for Wilson, he believed that democracies were important for international cooperations, and when we say democracies, it is governments elected by people. Despite Wilson's efforts, the U.S. Senate opposed joining, and the League failed to prevent World War II. The League embodied liberal internationalism, emphasizing common principles, which belong to Kant. Cooperation among nations belongs to Mazzini, and democracy with self-determination belongs to Wilson. So Wilson felt democracies would help build international relations based on law and cooperation.
Right morning, everyone. So let's proceed with Socialist Internationalism by Karl Marx. So one of the Mazzini biggest critics was the German socialist philosopher. So Marx, he was also an internationalist, but he did not believe in nationalism. It is because Mazzini believed in countries working together, but Marx didn't like that idea. He also an internationalist, but he did not believe in nationalism. It is because he believed that any true form of internationalism should be deliberately reject nationalism, which rooted people and domestic concern instead of global one. So he thought that focusing too much on our country, which is nationalism, stop people from thinking about the whole world. He placed a premium on economic quality, that he divided the world into countries but into classes. So Marx cared most about everyone being equal in terms of money and work. So there are two classes, the capitalist class and the proletariat class. So when we say capitalist, these are the factory and company owners, which is for the rich people, while the proletariat, these are the workers who don't own anything. So this is for poor people. Marx and his co-author Friedrich Engels believed that in socialist revolution seeking to overthrow the state of author. So the economy, the proletariat had no nation. So their Versailles battle, their famous battle cry, which is worker, if the world unite, you have nothing to lose but your shame. So they believe that workers everywhere should join together. So they opposed nationalism because they believe and prevented a unification of the world's workers. So after Marx died on 1883, his followers created an organization called the Socialist International to try and to make the ideas real. So the Socialist International, or the SI, and its associated achievements, which is the Labor Day, International Women's Day, and 8-hour workday. So were created to address specific issues and advocate the rights and well-being of workers and women. So the first is Labor Day, which is the declaration of May 1st as Labor Day by the SI, or Socialist International, was to commemorate these efforts and promote international unity and solidarity among workers. So the next one is International Women's Day, celebrated on March 8th, honors women achievements and advocates for gender equality, equal rights, and end of discrimination. So the last is the establishment of 8-hour workday, aimed to prevent exploitation and ensure workers had time to rest, recreation, and family. So that's all.